Hey now. Wait. I was stuck on Sisters of Mercy. Thanks to the previous stream. Good morning / evening or whatever, because, this shit's weird. Sorry for the weird layout. Yeah. Sorry for the weird layout. That's gonna happen. I wasn't actually prepared to do this. And, by that, I mean, I was not. I thought I was prepared. Whenever I was doing the layout thingy for this, but it turns out, as it would happen, that the software does not really like Scrivener. Yeah, which is the software that I use to make these books happen. So, I had to fuss with it. And basically I'm doing a really, really jury-rigged, almost Lana-esque solution to this problem.
Not enough cocaine.
Yeah, not enough cocaine. If I was doing more cocaine. No. Actually...
We don't do any drugs. We're too old and unfun.
Yeah.
Sad.
I'm actually going to rock
illegal.
it...
Very illegal. Also that.
Yeah. I'm actually, right now, I do not have cocaine. I have hipster drinks. I have cold brew water.
What?
I don't fucking know.
You're drinking Monster.
Actually, I have Monster Cuba Libre. And Monster, even though you're like an awful corporation and everything, if you would like to sponsor me,
we'll hate you.
We
will still talk about you.
Yeah, we will talk about you because your drink is delicious. In Japan, I don't know if it's in America, but in Japan, we have this thing called Monster Cuba Libre, which is a rum and coke energy drink. And it's not alcoholic, it just tastes like rum and coke, and it's wonderful. I gotta check one thing real quick, and I will be right back to start.
Liv just ran away. I don't know what happened. She was here a minute, and then she just ran. That's fine. I can't blame her.
I had to make for sure there wasn't any explosions.
There might have been.
Yeah. Yeah, like a monster sponsorship because we hunt monsters.
Oh, yeah. So then we drink their cold corpses.
Yeah.
Just like in real life.
And, things.
How cute would it be, a cartoon of Lana stabbing a giant can of Monster?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we should do, because we were thinking about doing an animation for the someone joins the chat or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe I should do an animated GIF of Lana snorting coke.
I think that might send the wrong message.
Oh.
How about her decapitating the little zombie that walks on?
Oh, yeah, because murder is cool.
Murder is cool.
Drug use and sex is not.
Right. That's how that works.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome to the world.
Welcome to the world of writing. So, I'm talking about my outlining process, which is kind of weird, and it's not really predicated on just doing fiction in the proper sense. I mostly learned it from game design, which is a strange thing to think of whenever you're thinking about books, but in a way it's also not. Also, it's predicated on my having a relatively short attention span for things. So, basically, if I don't see some sort of progress pretty much immediately, like if I don't see something that is essentially in game terms playable, a vertical slice, I don't like it. I'm not interested in it because I need a proof of concept to get working. So the first thing that whenever making a game, the first thing that I like to do is do a playable vertical slice, some little alpha build, a little thing like the bare minimum to see how this would flow. So like if you're doing a platformer, you set up your basic platform mechanics, you use all boxy architecture and stuff, and you see how it would feel to run around as your character. If you're doing a tabletop RPG, you want to set up your core mechanic, and enough to get the core play experience done, which is what we've been talking about with More Than Night, just doing a basic resolution mechanic, and that way we can fuck with that and we can sort of play storm from there.
Which we will be doing before too long.
Yeah, we'll be doing that soon. But with a book, the way that I do it typically is that I write a proof of concept, which isn't necessarily a part of the story. It ends up being a part of it, but it's not written to be a part of the plot. It's written to be a sort of test field for the voice that I'm using and the flow, the way that I want the book to feel. Because I think that feel of a book is just as important as plot. Yeah, it's like a demo reel. Yeah. And it doesn't need to really tell you a lot about the book itself other than how the book will work, what it will feel like reading this book. And so I'm going to go over a couple of the ones that I did for this book. And I'll explain, like, I'll explain a few of them, because I've actually written way too much for this one, considering the process that I'm using.
Liv has no chill.
I have no chill, no.
News at 11.
Usually what I do is I write a couple of chapters that are just unrelated. And what they end up being in the final book is that they're not like chapters of the plot in the proper sense. They're more like, I like to think of them as the skits in a good rap album. Basically, yeah, Mina wants me to unpack that. But basically what I mean by that is they're the connective tissue that holds the story together without necessarily having anything to do with it. Like you have a scene in, an Outkast album where Andre and Big Boy are like talking about something completely unrelated to the music. And it's a brief pause between the action, between the songs, and it catches your attention, it replenishes your attention, and it gives you a sort of feel for the attitude that they're trying to establish. So, an Outkast album is a good example. One of the later Coup albums is a good example. Basically, the idea is that you have this bit that should probably go in the final product, but isn't indicative of the overarching thing. It's just one piece of it. And it acts as connective tissue. It acts as, a little bridge between things. If you're more into like, classic rock or whatever, it's literally the bridge. You've got half to 2/3 of the way through your song, and instead of repeating the same thing over and over, you break aside and you do this other bit of music that is associated, but it's not necessary to the core experience, but it does make the whole better. And that's how I start my writing process. I start with the bridge, essentially, the connective tissue. And for this book, the way that the book that I wanted to do is it's called iHunt the Chosen One. And basically it is my opportunity to play with and sort of socially critique the sort of sexual and gender politics of like 90s, hero shows, urban fantasy shows, your Buffys, a little bit of X-Files and stuff like that. It's basically, taking that and then putting a more modern twist on it and answering it with what we know now as a culture. So, it's going to be its own thing. And because with iHunt, I like to make the the critique a little bit on the nose because it makes it more fun. If Lana is directly experiencing the thing that she's talking about, even if it's slightly metaphorical. But in this case, she's literally going to meet the Chosen One. She's going to meet a character that is a vampire hunter who is super powered, who is super privileged. She is the Chosen One. She is the one that's supposed to end the vampire menace. Lana, on the other hand, is a worker. Lana is basically a minimum wage worker, or the equivalent thereof, and she hunts monsters for cash. She's not doing this because she has superpowers. She's doing this because she's afraid of getting evicted. So it breeds a different dynamic. And so in this case, she's literally going to meet the Chosen One. And that dynamic, contrasting those two characters in their interactions, is going to be where we're going to get that. So the first thing that I wanted to do is get a feel for how I wanted to write it. Now, this character isn't Buffy. This character is a similar archetype to Buffy, but I wanted to feel how I would write a character like that and try to make it interesting and try to make it fun. So the first thing that I did was write an opportunity for Lana and this Chosen One Vampire Slayer character, give them a chance to interact and sort of bounce off of each other. You know, in TV terms, this would be the live read where you have the actors sitting down and reading the script together, and seeing how they feel, and that way you can adjust to accommodate. You don't have actors with a novel, but you do have your voice as a writer. And so that's a thing that you get to play with. That was the first scene I wrote. And I'll go over that in just a second. The second scene I wrote, I wanted to give this book a unique voice for Lana and the presentation of iHunt. Because this isn't the first book I've done. This isn't the second, third, it's the fourth iHunt book. But I want it to have its own feel, while still being suggestive of the previous works. So I wanted to do a proof of concept, which was Lana doing a simple hunt. And that ended up being the intro scene for the book. So first off, I'm going to go over the example of what I did for the interaction between Lana and the Slayer. If I can get it to open. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to read this real quick. It should go pretty quick. You may have already read this, but I have also edited it a little bit. So let me get a drink of my Monster Cuba Libre, Monster Corporation. If you're listening, I would appreciate a case. Lana Moreno, I raise my hand. The professor scribbles some shit on our paper. Veronica Vanderbilt, I look over to the blonde next to me, raising her hand. She's tall, strong, cute, but really, really not my type. She's got a sweater from Tommy Hilfiger, red, white, and blue, with blue eyes that sparkle like a bad parody of a Japanese cartoon. Why the fuck is someone like this in community college? Did her daddy's business go under because Trump passed a tariff daddy thought would make America great again, so now she's got to go to the dirt people school? The professor scribbles on her paper, then calls for someone else, and someone else like she called for 10 someone else's before me. Welcome to Gothic Literature 101. I'm Carrie Shockley. I hope you're all prepared to do a lot of reading this semester, she says, and pats a stack of novels on her desk. Professor Shockley is such a stereotype. Nothing wrong with that, but she's got this really brown hair that doesn't have much luster, a white peasant shirt, and a gray jacket that doesn't really match the gray of her tweed skirt. She doesn't look bad, but if you gave me a police lineup and told me that one of them was a librarian who killed her rapist ex-boyfriend, I'd pick her without hesitation. Which is to say, she seems cool. Not the professor you'd like to get high with, but cool. Has anyone here read Dracula? She says, holding up an old beaten copy of her Stoker novel. It was on the syllabus, but they were asking $40 for a fucking paperback, and I fought Dracula a while back, so I figured I could save myself the $40 and just use personal anecdotes. I saw the movie, Veronica says with a smirk. Professor Shockley sits on her desk. Which one? Lugosi, Christopher Lee, Frank Langella, Leslie Nielsen, Duncan Rager, Gary Oldman, Gerard Butler? That was a joke, Veronica says, rolling her eyes. Like 8 people laugh, which makes about 0 sense to me, but whatever, everyone's a critic. You look like you've read Dracula, Shockley says. Everything goes quiet for a second until I realize she's talking to me. Me? I raise an eyebrow. Yeah, you seem the Dracula type. I laugh. I can't help but to laugh. Maybe it's a little disrespectful, but I laugh. Why's that? She shrugs and smiles. Call it a hunch? I briefly wonder if she knows something about me, if she's actually a vampire servant here to spy on me. But if so, why would she give herself away like that? Then I look down and I realize I'm wearing an old beaten-up Night of the Living Dead t-shirt. I tap my shirt and look up to her. She nods with a smirk. I've read it before. It was a long time ago. To be honest, I don't read as much as for fun as I used to. That's one of the reasons I took this class, for an excuse to read more. Seems like these days I only get to read for work. I know the feeling. She pats her stack again. So does anyone know what defines the Gothic novel? In the hallway right after class, I feel a tap on my shoulder. I clench a fist in turn, ready for the kill. After all, I still can't assume Professor Shockley isn't a vampire slave assigned to kill me. It's Veronica Vanderbilt. What's up, I say, not really looking forward to whatever comes next. I just wanted to say hi and see if you wanted to go to the cafeteria and grab some lunch. I tilt my head and look over her again. She's about my age, which is to say, she's about Professor Shockley's age. She's tied with the two of us for the oldest in that room.
Can you pause for just a second?
Yeah.
Guys at the stream, is everything okay? My screen went black. It's probably nothing, but I'm just checking.
I don't know. It looks good on my test here.
Okay.
I just wanted to see if you wanted to go to the cafeteria and grab some lunch. I tilt my head and look her over again. She's about my age, which is to say she's about Professor Shockley's age. She's tied with the two of us for the oldest in that room. The community college is like that. Most everyone's coming straight out of high school, but every room has someone in their 30s trying to make up for lost time with a shitty budget. I feel like I should say something clever here. Come on, you need to eat, she laughs to herself. I don't even know what that means. I don't know if you need to eat. Is it the cafeteria food? We could go out and grab something if you wanted. It's not the cafeteria. Cafeteria's fine, just not used to people coming on so strong. Do you invite everyone who sits next to you in class to lunch? Or do you have an elaborate plan to pour pig blood on my head? Because I promise you that will not go well. I like you, she laughs. It's somewhere between high school cheerleader giggle and a girl who thinks she has to laugh at your bad jokes and get wasted on tequila with you to get in your pants. You know what? Sure, I say. I'm Lana. I know, I'm good with names. I'm Veronica, but you can call me V. And this, reading it out loud is another thing that I like to do because it gives me a feel for how the characters talk. In that case, I'm Veronica, you can call me V is what I wrote there, but whenever I read it aloud, I know, I'm good with names. I'm Veronica, but you can call me V. That's how I read it, so that's what I changed it to. I feel honored, I say, and turn toward the direction of the cafeteria. You never answered me about the pig blood and all that. No pig blood, it's just I'm new in town and I work really hard. I find that studying's the most efficient when you study with people who know their stuff. And so I thought I'd connect with someone who seems to know her stuff. Study buddies? Why do you think I know my stuff? I say and grab a tray and get in line. I order a burger and some fries. She grabs a tray and gets a tiny prepackaged salad and some mineral water. It's like looking into a dark mirror, except instead of a mirror, it's more like a person who does all the bullshit people have expected of me since childhood. You obviously know your stuff. You should have seen your face every time Professor Shockley said something about vampires. You clenched up like you wanted to correct her, like you knew more about the subject. I look over and hold back laughter. But she was right. She knows Dracula better than I know how to do my eyebrows. But you know more, like the deep stuff. I feel like you're a subject matter expert. So I want to hang around and see if that might rub off on me. You know this stuff is really easy, right? I'm not going to tell you anything revelatory about Dracula that'll get you a better grade than just reading the book. These kind of classes are easy A grades. Most everyone in that class is in there because they know it'll help their GPA. She shrugs. Or they like to have sex in graveyards. I fight back a laugh. I feel like that might have been accidentally funny, but I don't want to reward her unless I know it'll be a pattern. Don't knock it until you try it. I get a can of Rockstar and lead her over to a table. Ew. Huh?
Rockstar.
It's what they have at the school.
I know, but we're Monster Energy House, apparently.
I'm gonna do Monster, yeah.
There you go.
I'll have to change that in the setting guide. Ew! For one, sliding around in moss. For another, tombstones are like sandpaper on your back. I do laugh that time. I would have never pegged you for the type. To have sex in graveyards? Not really, but I've dated some really weird guys, but never like that. So why Gothic Lit, I say, and take a bite of my burger. She looks at my burger and winces a little, like she might throw up. She opens a clear plastic cup of the clear plastic cup her salad's in. It's important for work, you know, research. I figured I'd kill 2 birds with 1 stone and get some college credit out of it. What kind of job does Gothic Lit help? You know, except my job. Oh, it's hard to explain. I'm in... She sips her mineral water. Pest control. Pest control, I say, and take another bite of my burger. Yeah, pest control. Gotta kill those pests. Pests? Really? You keep on surprising me, V. Why? Don't think I can kill, rats and bugs and things? Pests? I think that if you think studying Gothic Lit's gonna help you kill vampires, you've got another thing coming. It causes more problems than it solves. You know most of this shit was written as propaganda, right? What do you mean vampire hunters? Her face goes red. Like, I'm at a party with people smoking pot and Daddy just walked in with a baseball bat red. Like, I'm a really bad fucking liar and someone just called me on it and I'm not used to that red. I have to try to get through to her. You heard me. You know Anne Rice was working for them, don't you? She's gotten more vampire hunters killed than you can count. I'm not assuming she can count very high, to be honest. She sighs and leans forward, whispering, "How did you know?" Pest control? No offense, Veronica, but if I had to guess, I'd say you're qualified for 5, maybe 6 jobs, and none of them involve poisoning animals. Girl like you, I'd say you wanted to be a marine biologist growing up. Her eyes go wide. Can you read minds? I can read them when they're little golden book level. I sigh and shake my head. Have you ever actually killed a vampire before? It's not what it's cracked up to be. I've killed a lot of vampires. In my old city, I killed off the entire vampire population. Now I've been tasked with saving San Gennaro. Saving? There's like 1 million vampires here. You have no idea. I picture myself being thrown out of spaceship's airlock. It has to be better than this. So, that is the proof of concept scene where I'm interacting with my hunter, Veronica, and my actual hunter, Lana. So that's the chosen one and Lana meeting. And I felt like it was a good opportunity to just sort of chew the scenery between them. Like, you get a feel for their interactions. Veronica has this sort of innocence to her. She's not necessarily ignorant, but she's a little naive, which comes from being privileged. She can beat up vampires. She doesn't really have much to fear from them. So she doesn't have to be a good liar. She doesn't have to be a good actor. Lana, on the other hand, is a normal person. So in order to survive as a vampire hunter, she needs to be good in every way that she can. So she has to be a good liar. She has to be a good fighter. She has to be a good actor. She has to be, a commando. And Lana is immediately frustrated by this. Because essentially, Veronica doesn't have to try very hard in order to succeed in the thing that Lana dedicates her life to. And basically, yeah, she has to spec her stats differently. Yeah. Because she gets all these inherent bonuses. And so that, I feel like this is a good way to capture that. Lana is, she doesn't hate Veronica, but she's frustrated. In a way, she's jealous. Because she has to try very hard to achieve minimal results compared to Veronica. Veronica was born with this. And so that's our proof of concept. Pretty simple. And then I'll read one more, which is the intro I did, and then I'm going to talk about some of the other ones I did, because basically these are the filler, and then I'm going to build the outline around the filler. So, the Windows version of Scrivener is a lot different than the Mac version, so I oftentimes screw up with it. Okay, so this is the intro. It wasn't necessarily meant to be the intro. It was just a fight scene that I wrote. But I felt like it encapsulated Lana enough that if you haven't read another iHunt book, you read this and you get who she is. So, imagine, if you will, a fist fight with a moving car. I said moving. This isn't the bonus round in Street Fighter. When the car's coming at you, you have one chance to hit it. You punch it, then you die. Win-win, right? Wrong. You hurt your fist, you don't hurt the car, and you're dead. Worst fight ever. Fighting vampires can be like fighting a car. They're fast, strong, tough, and if you use your one chance to punch them by, punching them, then you end up dead and it's the worst fight ever. Instead of fighting a moving car with your fist, you fight a moving car with a wall. It's like bullfighting in Looney Tunes. They get to chase you, they think it's going to plow, or you make them think it's going to plow into you, then you dodge out of the way so it smashes into a brick wall. Do the same with vampires. Except, instead of a brick wall, you got to be clever. Use, say, a picket fence. Get them to jump on a picket fence, and you got all of their speed and strength going toward jamming a big piece of wood in their chest. You don't have to hurt your wrist trying to jam a stake through their heart, and you look completely badass if it works.
If it doesn't work, they're still impaled on a fence post, which is simultaneously a tactical miracle and hilarious. Impaled vampires will flail for a good 20 seconds before pulling themselves off the post. I've timed it. Long story short, Luke's a vampire. Vampires come in 3 main breeds in San Gennaro: bats, wolves, and rattlesnakes. Luke's a wolf. Wolves are very strong. That means not only did he impale himself on the picket fence, not hitting his heart, mind you, but he pushed the damn thing all the way out his back by almost a foot. It's gruesome. Vampires don't really bleed, not the way you think of it. Their blood's thick and icky, kind of alive. It pulls back to the body like mercury. But when you get them real good, say by impaling them on a fence post, you've got all this blood from all over the place slithering slowly back to the body. Really gross. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. "I'm gonna kill you," he growls out, grabbing at his chest to the white plank in his tummy. Oh my god. He gnashes his teeth and jerks his head back toward me. You guys all say that. Think about it for a second. The first thing that comes to mind, I imitate his growly accent. "I'm gonna kill you." I roll my eyes. You sound like a fucking idiot. Do you think I've never been told that? Do you honestly think you're the strongest or smartest vampire to ever tell me that? He looks back at me and blinks. I roll my neck and take the machete out of its sleeve. "What's your point, bitch? I'm still gonna kill you." He's grabbing at the post, trying to force himself out of it. He's fighting against his own weight and the traction of the old ratty wood. No you're not. Point is, bitch, that you're not the best vampire to say that to me, and if that's the case, you gotta assume that's not gonna happen, right? He stops fighting and raises an eyebrow. "You're gonna kill me anyway, why does it matter?" "Fucking shit, you're new at this, aren't you?" I sigh, and I hop up and sit on the small of his back. This pushes him further down on the post. He screams. "What, maybe 5 years, tops?" 7, he snaps and tries to bite me in the thigh, but from where he's sitting, he can't bend his neck back far enough. 7 fucking years and you don't know the value of a good villain monologue? I say, and shake my head. His face is red, his eyes are red, his fangs are fully bared. He roars out and starts gnashing. You practice your villain monologue and make it compelling. You make it new and interesting, that way I'm captivated and impressed and you have a chance to escape. Didn't anyone ever teach you? "Kill me already," he shouts and grunts, glaring at me. "No can do, buddy." I shake my head and look down at him. I can tell he's running down his blood supplies. He's losing self-control. A few more minutes and he'll be a mindless death zombie who will stop at nothing for blood. "Why?" He's flailing and trying to reach back with his hands. I bat them away with the flat of my machete. "I saw what you did to that guy back there. You weren't just feeding. You weren't torturing him. You take pleasure off that shit. You could have just bitten him and walked away. Fuck, if you had to kill him, you could have just killed him and moved on. But no, you had to toy with him, tease him, let him know what was coming, and then make him feel helpless. So fucking what?" He spits a gout of blood on the ground in spite. "So fucking what? I'm doing that to you, that's what. This is poetic justice, and I really don't think you're really appreciating the hard work I put in here. I'm giving you a narrative arc that justifies your inclusion in the story. You did a thing, you get punished for the thing. Instead of being some jack-off nameless vampire, you get to be Luke, the Greek motherfucking tragedy. You should be thanking me." He jerks to the side hard enough that I almost fall off. I hear the wood of the fence cracking. I hop off and the fence flies into splinters. He stands tall and howls out, then laughs and turns to face me. He's got this huge grin, teeth and fangs all covered in blood, with blood dripping down his chin. "Oh, I'll thank you. For the meal." I sigh and throw my head back. "For the meal? Jesus Christ. At least say for the Holy Communion you're about to give me, or some equally pretentious shit. Fucking vampires today. No sense of drama. Besides, you already lost." "Me? Lost? I'm free. I'm not gonna fall for your shit again." I laugh. "Remember how you killed him? You let him escape for a second, then he tripped because you broke his toe. That way you could give him the illusion of safety." He raises an eyebrow and nods. Then the cherry bomb I planted in his back pocket goes off with a little gunshot pop. He jumps and turns to grab his ass. I rush forward and jam my shoulder into his side, knocking into his stomach. I jump and I thrust the heel of my shoe into his spine, pinning him to the dirt. "You empowered him, then you took it all away, to suit your perverted little power fantasy." He snarls back at me. "So now I'm going to cut off your fucking head just after you thought you could turn the tables. How does that feel?" He stares at me in disbelief. "You're just like me. You're enjoying this." "Wrong. No, I can see it in your eyes. You like it. You're having fun. This isn't about justice. This is about amusing yourself. You're just as much a monster as we are. I shake my head. I'm worse. I shove the shoe deeper in his back. You're doing it for a meal. I'm doing it for money. I'm doing it because it's important to evaluate your work-life balance and understand that when you're overworking yourself, it's important to eke out a little fun when you can find it. His eyes go wide. Work? You're not the chosen one? I laugh. Sorry, bro. No chosen ones here. Just a broke-ass woman you keep calling bitch and the $5,000 bounty she's standing on. He tries to say something, but in the end, my millennial internet attention span wins out, and I swing my machete down at his neck like a golf club. The head doesn't come off in a single swipe, but it's enough to sever the spine. I pose him like a scarecrow on the remains of the fence, with his head hanging down by the remain of his throat. His body's quickly decaying, so I snap a couple pictures. Then I realize the flash is off, and I take a couple more. I post the pictures to the iHunt app, then I post them to my private Discord server. Got to him first. Sorry, everyone. Y'all can get the next one. I like having chat servers full of hunters. It's like a water cooler for people who murder murderers for a living. You get to brag a little, you get to pick up jobs when others can't finish them, and you get human interaction with people you don't have to lie to when they ask what you're doing for a living. The iHunt clients already responded. 5 stars. They left a comment. I think perhaps the dramatics were unnecessary, but I can't complain about her results. That's really me to a T, isn't it? I'm Lana. I hunt monsters. So that's my intro. And as you can see, it basically gives you a really concise feel for who Lana is, how she interacts with her world. These are my proof of concepts. I needed 2 proof of concepts to get going. I needed one that gives us the interaction between Lana and the Chosen One, because that's essential. And then I did a hashtag blessed. Then I did a proof of concept feeling out the way that Lana behaves in this. And really, okay, so this is only going to make a lot of sense if you've read the first iHunt book, but the difference between this scene and the first iHunt book is that Lana is a little bit more like, she's a little bit more having fun with it. She's always had a bit of fun, but right now she's trying to use this as a coping mechanism. She is really just fucking teasing this vampire because there's a bit of boredom, there's a bit of like existential dread that goes along with it. She's a little bit more weathered and experienced as a hunter. So in order to keep her job interesting, she has to make it interesting, and she makes it interesting by dramatic irony, things like that. So that was what I wanted to present with this.
And I'm sure nothing will go wrong as a result of that.
Yeah. She'll only be rewarded for her behavior.
Of course.
But in the meantime, while I was waiting to do this stream talking about outlining around your proof of concepts, I actually ended up doing a lot of other ones. I'm not going to read them, but I'm going to talk about them a little bit because they're important, at least in so much as I wanted to say certain things. So one of the scenes that I did, it is called hashtag dumpster dive. It's this one right here. And basically, one of the core sort of pillars to my books, at least my iHunt books, is that I like to draw parallels between hunting vampires, hunting monsters, and poverty, and the things that you have to do whenever you're poor. Whenever I was growing up, we had to do a lot of like basically looking through trash for things. It was how we got certain things, and basically we would pawn things, fix things and pawn things in order to get a little bit of spending money. Lana is using it as a hunting tool, and basically I took this real thing that happened in my life and that happened with a lot of my friends in their lives, and I asked myself, how does this apply to vampire hunting? And in this case, what it is that Lana looks into people's dumpsters, and if she doesn't find traces of food trash, like if she doesn't find, cans of soda, if she doesn't find packages from meals and stuff like that at a house, but she finds other trash, then that means that the person that lives there doesn't eat food. And if they don't eat food, then there's a good chance they're a vampire. If you know what neighborhood they live in, and you search through all of the trash cans, the one person who doesn't eat food is a vampire. And so that's a fun little scene. She gets to do a vampire hunt. The next one that I did is about student loan deferment. And it's basically a debate between Lana and her girlfriend, Natalie, from the first book, about why Lana is going to school. And it was a thing where a lot of times whenever I do these books, a lot of people don't, I get a lot of people who are like, I didn't know that this was a thing. So in America, in the American education system, you get what are called deferments for your student loan payments. If they're too high and you're not making enough money, you can get a deferment. It keeps accruing interest, but you don't have to pay for a while, or you pay less. You only get so much of that, though. So if you're not making much money, eventually you'll get fucked, and you have to pay them, and it's a really awful situation. One of the things that you can do to keep not paying them is get an educational deferment. Basically, if you go back to school and take some more classes, you can not pay for a little while. And that's a thing a lot of people I know do in order to hold off their student loan payments when they're broke. So this is it's an educational scene, but it's also adding a little bit of conflict with Lana's situation.
I don't want to call it world building, but it's kind of world building.
Yeah, it's world building. It's building the context of what Lana does and why she does it. Like, it's absolutely... It's world building on the microcosm level.
Right.
Burning down the house. This proof of concept is literally Lana. I wanted to do a scene where Lana burned down someone's house, and the idea is that vampires don't live in like mansions on the hill. That can happen, but by and large it doesn't, because they would prefer something that just goes beyond attention. So they tend to go for, cheaper stuff, places that people overlook, places that people don't envy. And this gives Lana a unique opportunity to burn down a vampire's house.
Always fun.
Yeah, always fun. Then I have a 5 chapter, 5 scene aside. I wanted to do Lana basically being attacked by vampires, because if you're a vampire hunter, eventually vampires start coming for you. If you've killed enough of them, they want to get back at you. They want to stop you from doing that. And I also wanted to establish that in the vampire world of iHunt, there are literally vampires who specialize in killing vampire hunters. They go from city to city, taking contracts the way that Lana does, except their contracts are on vampire hunters. And they're very good at it. So I wanted to do a series of scenes where basically someone's trying to turn the tables on Lana. And this ended up being, not really quite a novella, but it ended up being about a 10,000 word section that I think does some really cool things for the setting. I know it's going to go in there, and so I found out where it would fit. It doesn't relate to the Chosen One plot, but I'm twisting it a little to do so. Then, actually, this one, On the Run, is basically the resolution of that. And then this one, Barred for Life, is her talking with Natalie about it. And then Job Offer is how I wanted to tie it back in. Basically, so, and I'll get to this in a second. And then Research Montage. I wanted to do a research montage that was sort of a parody of the Buffy-style research montage, where, you have a few characters who are, at the occult library, and they're all doing their work together, trying to find the truth behind this fucking monster. But in this case, I wanted Lana to be researching the truth behind the Chosen Ones. And because she's different than them, she doesn't have a big group of people helping her, and she gets frustrated, and she just says, fuck it, I'll figure it out on my own. So these are things that I wanted to happen in the book. Now, I have to consider the book itself, the plot.
Oops.
And it's a little weird, because right now I'm sitting on these chapters here are 20-some thousand words, which is almost half of a small novel. As far as a NaNoWriMo level novel, it's about half. It's about half of one, because those are 50,000 words. But I haven't really touched on the plot. So this is probably going to be a bigger iHunt book than my last few. The first one was 65,000 words. The second one was 25,000. The third one was about the same. And so this one's probably going to push 70. But we'll see. We'll see.
Pushing up into George R. R. Martin links now.
Yeah, this is not George R. R. Martin level. No. Okay, so now I've got to think about the plot. And yeah, I know that this is a little bit of an unintuitive way for some people to consider it, just doing a whole bunch of shit and then figuring out where the plot goes. But the fact of the matter is, I like to feel out where I'm going with these stories, and like I like to know what the book is going to be before I know about the plot. I think that execution is more important than plot per se, and this all comes down to, like, you know, my opinion on spoilers, for example. I don't really think that you can spoil a good work because it's about how you get there, not what happens. If giving away the twist and giving away the plot ruins what you're doing, you didn't do it very well. So I know what I want to happen basically, and I'm gonna make a text file here, and this is gonna be our outline. Okay, so I know I have all of these scenes that are going to happen here. So I've got monologue, I've got Gothic Lit, dumpster dive, deferment, burning down the house, goat sucker, breaker, hunter, ride the fence, boss fight, on the run, barred for life, job offer, and research montage. Now, it's important to note that I actually already arranged these in order. These are the order that they have to appear in the story. Whenever you're first doing these, they might not have a consigned order, but once you've done a couple of them, you will start to realize at least how they have to fit in. Now, the ironic thing about this is that most of these are going to be front-loaded. These are going to be basically all pushed toward the beginning of the story. And for the job offer and research montage should really be like in a traditional novel, like in a 3-act style structure. It would be the Act 2, the beginning of Act 2. Because that's where she's really starting to tackle the problem. But I'm not going to worry too much about that. Act structure is a little weird for me. I prefer, other methods, but this is... I'm not going to get too much into act structure. That's a different stream. I'll just start yelling about Joseph Campbell. It'll be awful.
That's for another stream.
Yeah, yelling about Joseph Campbell is its own stream. Okay, so what I want to happen, and that's okay. This is the outline. I'm going to actually add another one. Oh shit, not that. Add new text, and we're going to go notes. Yeah, don't open the Campbell's can. Yeah, do not let me do that. You will never be done. Okay, so the notes. The things that I... basically, I know that I want Lana to meet the Chosen One, which I've already done. We've already established Lana's relationship with her, so that's actually going to take everything, that's going to make everything easier on this front. I know their relationship, so I can build the outline with that in place. This is one of the reasons why what I do works, is because I'm building the outline around the interactions and the way that the people behave, not the other way around. I feel like in this case, the way that I do it, the plot serves the characters, not the other way around. And if you're familiar with my writing, I feel that, maybe you'd agree, but the characters are really, the plot is a vehicle for expressing the characters and their world, as opposed to the other way around. A lot of people read, George R. R. Martin stuff because they want to get onto the next part, they want to see what happens. I prefer to look at it as like I want to see what the characters do and the way that they behave, because people are more interesting to me than events. So this method works very good for that. I am building around the characters. So I want Lana meets the Chosen One, which I already know that's happened. I need her to go on a hunt with the Chosen One, because I need Lana to see her in action, and I need her to be able to make value judgments based on that. I know this because in the scene with the vampires that are hunting Lana, she's going to be basically a lot of people. A lot of people throughout the story are going to mistake her for the Chosen One. They're going to be like, "Oh, you're not the Chosen One," and she's going to be like, "What the fuck gave you the impression?" Like, she's not going to be amused by this, and so she has to have a good idea of how the Chosen One works, and this is doubly important because I want to draw a stark contrast between how the Chosen One fights and how Lana fights, how they hunt. So Lana hunts with Chosen One. So that's going to give her an idea of how this works. I know that one thing that I really want to address is that the Chosen One should hook up with a vampire. Now, Lana is hooked up with a vampire. Natalie, her girlfriend, is a vampire. But Natalie is actually a pretty tame one. Like, she's rejected a lot of what that means. But in a lot of these pieces, these Buffy, Twilight, that sort of thing, you have these guys, these love interest characters who are kind of creepy. And it's funny because when Twilight came out, a lot of people, would do like GIFs, like hacked up GIFs of Buffy killing Edward because he's a creep, that hides outside of Bella's window and stuff like that and watches her sleep. But Buffy hooks up with Angel and literally stops people from killing him, even after he loses his soul and kills like hundreds of people. There's just these scenes where he kills like a bus full of children, and it's done off camera. Like, he's just joking around about it, but he did it because other characters confirm it because they were there. Like, Spike was there. And this is awful. And so when Buffy is stopping people from stopping him, she is essentially, yeah. If you haven't seen Buffy, sorry. But this is awful. If you haven't seen Buffy, then, whatever, this is spoiler. But when Buffy protects Angel, she is essentially allowing this to go on. And from the context of comparing Buffy to Twilight and this sort of modern vampire romance trend, she's not much better. And debatably, she's worse, because Edward in Twilight doesn't kill people.
Well, and Bella in Twilight is not a vampire hunter.
No.
She's just a girl.
She's just a girl. She has no real ability to do so. Any episode where Angel was taken over by heterodrama and I hated it? Yeah. I never saw his spin-off series because of how they treated Charisma Carpenter. I felt really bad. And that was already, like, I never got into it in the first place, but I didn't go back and rewatch it because of the fact that Charisma Carpenter was totally fucked. So anyway, I want the Chosen One, Veronica, to hook up with a vampire. I think that there needs to be some spacing between when this gets resolved. So there needs to be another Lana Veronica hunt, because right now the vampire should be okay. Like, Lana isn't going to judge someone for fucking a vampire because she fucks a vampire. It's not a big deal to her. But it needs to become an issue later. So I need to space that out. I know that one of the so there's a super vampire in the city, and his name is
Frank.
Nope, it's a weird name. I used a Sumerian word.
Because of course you did.
Yeah. His name is Keerak. Keerak. I thought that sounded sufficiently 90s too. Okay, so Keerak.
Prewriting and the Mod Squad coming at you from.
So the Chosen One comes to San Gennaro in order to essentially conquer the world. Like, you know, he's gonna fucking dominate. He's really old, really powerful. This is probably gonna happen off screen because my San Gennaro books are done in first person. So it's going to happen off screen. I'm not going to address it directly, but I need to pepper some of this happening. So this is a thing. Our hunter, our chosen one, is supposed to kill Keerak, but Lana doesn't know at this point. She just knows that she's going to save the world or whatever she says. I know that Vampire Boyfriend will fuck up and kill a bunch of people. Very much the angel story. Like, and then Lana is gonna go hunting Vampire Boyfriend. We know that Veronica is going to try, or actually, I don't think she's going to try to stop her, but Veronica is going to find out and get pissed.
Elena, nice to see you.
Hey, Elena. Lana and Veronica should fight. Stalemate, though. I need the first one to be a stalemate. Then Lana gets hired to kill Keerak because of prophecy.
Yeah, but you wrote that, right?
I did. Well, yeah, she gets. This is something I did write, but I need to know where to slot it in.
Oh, fair enough.
So Lana gets hired to kill Keerak because of a prophecy. The prophecy in this case is not really a mystical thing as much as something that tends to happen with these Chosen One types. Mm-hmm. Basically, according to the story, according to the prophecy, these Chosen Ones tend to die in fights with vampires. They'll kill a bunch of vampires, and then they'll meet their nemesis, and they get killed. And then a new one comes along. This happens over and over and over throughout history. But a lot of times, sometimes they become vampires. Because basically the nemesis will turn them into a vampire and enslave them. And with these Chosen One powers as a vampire and like under the control of this evil fucking monster, they are awful. They are terrible, terrible things, and they end up devastating populations. And when this happens, basically a population has to be erased. Like you basically have to salt the earth to stop them. And one of the vampire leaders in San Gennaro doesn't want that to be the case. Like, he doesn't want to have to salt his city. So he hires Lana to kill Keerak before Keerak can turn the Chosen One into a vampire. And Lana's not going to argue this point because, for one, cash money, and for another, she has no faith that Veronica is smart enough to not become a vampire. She doesn't have any reason to believe that Veronica will win. Because she's just not smart enough. Even if she's powerful, she's not clever enough. Veronica fights with strength and power, whereas Veronica fights with strength and power, whereas Lana fights with lateral thinking. And like, I could lean on giving the story a moral that if you have like privilege and you work together with people who are clever, that you can accomplish great things. But I think that's silly. That's not a good story for what I'm doing. Okay. So Lana gets hired to kill Keerak because of prophecy. Lana finds out that Veronica is going after Keerak. which she knows this like will happen, but she finds out that basically Veronica is escalating. Veronica knows where Kirak is and is going to be like marching on him soon. So essentially it becomes a chase. Not a direct chase, but like Lana has to find the Kirak before Veronica does, and she has to move and kill him before Veronica does. I want let's see. I do want Veronica to ask for Lana's help. But Lana doesn't want to be a sidekick. And basically that's how Veronica phrases it. Veronica wants Lana to be her, like, Xander and Giles and shit like that. She wants to be the core of a team, and Lana just ain't having it. And I think Lana doesn't want to be a sidekick becomes a later scene. So Veronica asks for Lana's help. Lana considers, works with Veronica. Veronica isn't smart. That's shorthand for me. I basically need Veronica to prove to Lana that she is not a good leader. And so Lana doesn't feel safe doing that. And I think that what this is going to be is that one of the team members dies. Dies because Veronica is a bad leader. Yeah, she doesn't want to be a sidekick or work in their love. Okay. So I think works with Veronica. I'm actually going to split that up. And works with Veronica on a couple of simple jobs.
And you can also make fun of the Whedon killing somebody for sympathy, not for logic.
Sympathy, not for logic?
You know, like the various times that Whedon kills people, characters.
Oh, sure.
Just because he wants somebody to have feels.
Yeah.
You can do a leaf on the wind gag while you're undermining Lana's.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah, gotta throw in Whedon jokes.
So like you know, V can be like, oh, it's just tragic, it's just happenstance, it's just fate. Sometimes people just die, it's so real. And Lana will be like, no, it's because you made a damn dumb choice. Like, people don't die for no reason. People die because something happened that caused them to die. Like, what are you talking about? No, this happens around me all the time. No, it doesn't. Like,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Okay. I think there's going to be a little bit of tension in there. I think that they're going to go to a party together, and I think Veronica's like going to try to hit on Lana in a way to like apologize, because like expressing her sort of fucking naive sexuality is the only way that she can like express herself in that way.
Right.
And basically Lana's like, no, you don't get to apologize by trying to get in my pants. That's fucking ridiculous. Right. And also she's probably drunk. Mm-hmm. Party. Veronica tries to hook up with Lana. Lana rebuffs. Okay. So we know that the thing with Kirak is going to become a chase at this point. Lana is not going to work with Veronica. Lana is going to find the vampire on her own, and she has to find her before Veronica's there, because if they work together, Veronica will get turned into a vampire and Lana will get killed. It'll be awful. Mm-hmm. That's a really cool idea, Dovey. I could see an entire book being written around that, but I don't want to build that much of a mythology around her. That's a cool idea. So I think that, and so at this point, I'm coming up on the end. Like, I'm coming up on my third act sort of equivalent. I'm coming up on the climax of the action. I'm going to put in a placeholder climax, and I'm going to feel it out when I'm writing. I think what's going to happen is that Veronica is tricked into becoming a vampire. Basically, Veronica wants to be the best monster hunter she can be, and like she's being bested by Kirak, and basically Kirak's like, you could be so much more badass if you just become a vampire. If you let me live, I'll make you a vampire, I'll walk away, everything's cool. And Veronica's like, well, I could be the best hunter if I become a vampire. And
what could go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? And at that point, Lana's going to find out. Because Veronica got to her first. Veronica does have advantages. She is inherently privileged and will run into Kirak first. She becomes a vampire. Lana finds out. Lana has to kill her. I don't know how I'm going to make that interesting. I know Lana will be okay with killing her. I don't think that's a conflict for Lana.
No.
She's not even going to think twice about it at this point. If Veronica is a vampire, she's going to kill her. Like, she's just going to do it. I need there to be some sort of conflict, but I don't know what that's going to be yet, and I need to feel out the characters a little bit more and feel out where the plot goes. But Lana also has to kill Kirak. I don't know which one is going to happen first. One of the two is going to happen first.
Unless explosions.
I don't want them to happen at the same time because I think it's going to be too much of an escalation. I think Lana might kill her to prevent her from turning. I might not have to throw Veronica under the bus. I might not have to. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know, so I'm not gonna. You'll notice that like I've got this bulk of information here, like all of this more dense idea, and then down here it's very simple stuff. Because I don't entirely know that I want to end it that way, but I think that that's probably the most immediate, obvious way. I will probably change it. I will probably work around that. Okay, so a couple of other things I need to plug in. I have established through my concept writing that I need to have some stuff about... She is jealous. She is jealous. And this is established. I've got some of this in my pre-writing stuff.
Okay, can I suggest an angle for you to consider here?
Yeah, of course. And I'll take a note about it.
Okay. One of the things that you need to address with Lana sooner or later is her ambiguous morality when it comes to killing vampires.
Yes.
She takes a job, she kills a vampire, that's the beginning and end of it.
Yeah.
But clearly she doesn't think all vampires need to die.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
so
she doesn't.
So she needs to address the fact that some vampires are okay. And there's a possibility that she has killed vampires who were otherwise fine, but somebody just paid her to do it.
Yeah, she acknowledges that. Yeah.
Right, so that's a thing that could be true. And so what you might need for the conflict with killing Veronica or not killing Veronica is a counter-prophecy or a true believer or basically some kind of vampire who's real good and pops up at the same time as this vampire who's real evil.
Oh, sure.
And it's basically like the hard path is to let her live and to do something, some hard choice that lets this super vampire become the next super good vampire. So maybe what the second vampire is like an ancient slayer, chosen one, who chose a good path. And, basically by making that choice, Lana would have to basically admit, I've probably killed some decent people, or people who could have been decent. You know what I mean? And then she's got to kind of live with that.
Oh, sure.
Just stuff to throw in there, if you want.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. So as far as she can't kill her because of the prophecy's bullshit. It doesn't matter. The prophecy isn't actually anything mystical. The prophecy is just a pattern.
It's largely political, too.
Yeah, it's a political issue. You send these lone young women, even if they've got superpowers, against super vampires, and they're gonna fucking die a lot of
Sooner or later,
times.
statistically.
Yeah, like they're gonna die, and some of them are gonna get turned into vampires. It's a logical thing that happens. It isn't because of any sort of like actual there's the prophecy is bullshit. The prophecy is just a warning, like a good prophecy. Okay, so Scooby Ending 2. We would say there's an old chosen one vampire who walked a good path. Okay, so, but I don't need to plan this right now.
No.
The fact of the matter is, I really want to feel out where they are and what I want to happen with them. I don't particularly care if Veronica lives or dies at the end, because I don't know. I don't know if I want to use her again. So she may or may not. We'll see. We'll see how she feels as I'm writing her.
Sometimes a character almost redeems themselves in the process.
Yeah, sometimes. Actually, if you've read Ultra, which, like maybe 3 people have, if you read Ultra, one of the characters, not Naomi, not Tiffany, it's Miranda. Miranda was going to be the villain of the book originally. Yeah. She was going to be the villain, but I liked her too much, so she couldn't be, and I turned her into one of the good guys. So anyway, yeah, there will always be another one, yeah. But, okay, so I basically have that. One thing that I do know that I want to address in the story, because I do touch on it in my my pre-writing stuff, is that I want to make this about the... I want to add some stuff about the relationship between Lana and... God damn it, Lana and Natalie. I'm having a lot of trouble with names in the last couple days.
Yeah, you have.
Like I've been mixing up a lot of titles and stuff. Yeah, read Ultra. So anyway, yeah, I could use her as the Alicia Silverstone in another story too. That's absolutely a thing that could work.
What does that mean?
Oh, Kirby was saying that, to keep her alive, a reason is to use her as a largely clueless voice of privilege in a different story.
Yeah.
And that is a good idea. But this is where I'll note that typically I make the plot serve the characters, not the other way around. But that's just like my sort of method. So it just depends on... Like, it's going to feel... If I end up liking Veronica more than I expect to, I might make her live. We'll see. We'll see what's got to feel right. Anyway, the relationship between Lana and Natalie is got to get some attention. In the pre-writing that I'm doing, there's a bit where, in the deferment scene, basically, Natalie, who is not mega successful, but she in the first book made a bar for vampires. And she's making a little bit of money. Like, she's comfortable right now, or at least nominally comfortable. And Lana is fucking broke. She's making more money than she's ever had, but now she has higher expenses. So this is becoming a problem. Natalie offers Lana to let her move in, and this will cut down on their expenses. This is the common millennial thing. People move in together because it saves them cash. They're also happy together, but the complication is that Lana's a vampire hunter and Natalie's a vampire. And
awkward. Even
though they get along just fine, Natalie hangs around with other vampires, and if they see that Natalie is living with a vampire hunter, that can make things go really bad. Like, that can make things complicated. So Lana has been resistant to this idea of moving in together permanently because it could put them in danger. But on the other hand, Natalie's point is everything puts us in danger. So, whatever. And I know that Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that I want them to address this. I want them to have this moment, this building of relationship, in this evolution. And in the deferment scene where she's talking about this, Natalie brings it up. In a later scene, after Lana fights with the vampire hunter who's trying to kill her, Lana goes back and like basically cries on Natalie's shoulder and is like, "Okay, fuck it, I'll move in with you." But I want there to be a couple of scenes in the in-between that help to facilitate this a little bit better.
Maybe Natalie is who introduces the other vampire.
Yeah,
like maybe one of the reasons Natalie is able to hang on and not be awful is because she's learning from this woman.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So let's see. That's got to be addressed early. I would say before Lana meets the Chosen One.
Mm-hmm. Before. Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, it'll probably be the second scene, actually. Lana goes to Natalie's bar, briefly meets Natalie's pseudo mentor. This is going to be a previous Chosen One.
Yep.
Regardless of whether or not I go with that path, like that'll be a good character.
You can still seed that for other work. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Chosen. Well, there's two ways I could even go about that, Kirby. I could have it that Veronica is like, moving in on territory essentially, or I could have it that like she's literally like trying to kill Natalie at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, she's just not paying attention to the right vampires to kill. She's just killing any vampire.
Yeah.
Which is one of those places where you could say, Lana, you could do it where Lana is like, yeah, you can't kill that guy. Why? He's a vampire. Because he doesn't actually do anything wrong.
Okay, so in
He
the
eats rats, lady. Relax.
in the second Veronica and Lana hunt, Veronica's going to kill a good vampire.
Yep.
That's going to be important because basically, like, the whole thing about their relationship is that Lana doesn't trust Veronica's judgment, and every time that they're given the opportunity, Lana is proven that Veronica's judgment is just not good enough.
Yeah, and like in another story, Veronica's judgment would be satisfied by the plot twisting in her favor. But this is a Lana story, not a, Buffy story, so you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can even have Veronica say something along the lines of, I don't know, in other situations it just all works out. I don't have to worry about those details.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's... Okay.
Okay, so Veronica will kill a good vampire as a part of this. Vampire boyfriend's going to kill a bunch of people. Lana's go hunting. Veronica's going to find out and get pissed. In fact, I think Veronica... this interrupts Veronica hunting Natalie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because Lana and Veronica are going to fight and have a stalemate. So basically, and I'm going to use this as a contrast, because Veronica is going to try to kill Natalie, and she's going to get interrupted because she finds out that Lana killed her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And Lana's going to be like, I killed your boyfriend because he's a mass murderer. And she's like, well, I was going to kill your girlfriend because she's a vampire. And Lana's like, they're not the same thing.
That's not the same thing.
This is a false equivalency. And if you think that you can just fuck a vampire and that makes them exempt from being murdered, then why don't I get that privilege?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm the chosen one.
Yeah, I think that the stalemate will be the stalemate because Lana is too emotional. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Basically, Lana's not operating the way that Lana is supposed to operate.
She's on drugs.
Sometimes when Lana is operating on emotion and she gets pissed,
she'll do things that are irrational. She'll still win because typically she stacked the deck in her favor. But against Veronica, it's going to be a different situation because Veronica's not a vampire. And Lana isn't really prepared to go after a chosen one. Like, that's not a thing that she hunts. So she can't tip things in her favor. She should have, but she didn't because she was too pissed. Right. So in a straight up, vampire hunter versus chosen one fight, Lana's lateral thinking will save her life and keep her from losing outright, but she won't be able to win. Okay, so we have our plot here. We know what's going to happen with that.
You know a lot of why it's going to happen, which is just as important.
Correct. And so what we are establishing here is, and this is important too, Veronica is going to be interrupted hunting Natalie. Lana and Veronica are going to fight over this. And then the whole thing with Kirak comes. Veronica's going to ask for Lana's help, and Lana's going to consider it. It's important to note, Lana considers because it's such a big deal. She doesn't want to work with Veronica on this because, she's pissed. Veronica tried to kill her girlfriend. She killed Veronica's boyfriend, and they had a fight about this. Lana doesn't want to work with Veronica to kill Kirak, but Lana also understands that this guy is fucking 1,000 years old and a badass.
Sometimes you have to put your drama aside.
Yes, sometimes you have to put your drama aside. And so Lana is going to, take a deep breath, think it through rationally. Okay, let's do this. And the money.
Also the money. Okay.
So another thing that there's a couple more things that have to happen that I established in pre-writing that I didn't get over. Okay, so one of them is that the vampire hunter that goes after Lana is an ancient Spaniard. He's like 600 years old, and he's a Spaniard. And he basically sends a militia of vampires. He doesn't send them. He makes a trap for Lana. He hires Lana for a job to hunt a chupacabra. And then has her go to a distant suburb, to a high school. And then locks her in with 10 other vampires. And they're trying to kill her, and she's fighting them off and kills them. And it's, it's a whole bunch of the lateral thinking. It's a whole bunch of Lana seizing the edge and winning. The ancient vampire, the vampire hunter, is hired by Elisa El Lobo, who is the villain of my first book, Blood Flow. She is a vampire who is a body-swapping vampire. She stole a body and is in a different one now. And she is probably the meanest vampire that is native to San Gennaro. Lana needs to kill her. Because once someone hires a mercenary to kill you, it only goes downhill from there. And one of the things that Lana comes up with... Phil is getting all wide-eyed there. So one of the things that they come up with between Lana and Natalie is that ultimately they need to use the Chosen One as a weapon. Because killing Elisa is going to be impossible because Elisa is holed up in a compound with 40 other vampires. Lana can't just fucking march in there and burn it down.
Elisa doesn't operate like a vampire.
Yeah, Elisa doesn't operate like a vampire. Quite the opposite, because there's some werewolf conflict there too. Elisa literally uses a werewolf's blood to establish a strong pack dynamic. She drinks from a werewolf's blood, and she has the werewolf chained up in her basement, basically. And she uses the werewolf's blood to establish a strong pack. And so all of these 40 vampires that she has as this militia in her compound are basically they would die for her. And so it's a really bad situation. However, there's a Chosen One. So that's going to be a thing. Works with Veronica on a couple of simple jobs. One of them job, Elisa El Lobo. And this is going to be complicated because if I do another Blood Flow book, then it's going to make things weird. But that's good. That's good. It'll give me some fun constraints to work with. One job, Elisa El Lobo, Compound Raid. Fun time for high action that goes well, not super gritty. And if you look at my outline, I start here and I end here. Right around halfway through, it's going to get pretty dark. Like, we're going to have situations where Lana and Veronica are fighting over who gets to murder their fucking loved ones. Like, this is intense shit.
Fun times.
Yeah. And so I need something that's kind of lighthearted. Elisa is a really, really vicious character. The character in Blood Flow that she is like the chief antagonist and is just fucking brutal and mean and awful. And this could be a super dark scene. It could involve a lot of character death and stuff, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna have this basically be a power fantasy thing. Like, Lana's gonna be badass. Competence porn. She's gonna work with Veronica very well.
She's going to use Veronica very well.
Yes, she's going to use Veronica. Because the ideal situation for Lana would be that her brain is going to wield Veronica as a weapon. But when Veronica starts trying to think for herself, it becomes complicated. But I don't want that to be here. I want this to be a win, a clear fucking win. Okay, so that's going to be a thing that happens, and this is gonna set up my next vampire book. And ironically, it's going to make that vampire book less of a wish fulfillment power fantasy book because the protagonists don't get to kill the antagonist. Someone else just does it. Right. So it's going to feel a little bit more real, like the world happens around them. They're not responsible for everything that happens. Okay. Other thing that happens in the Vampire Hunter scene is that Lana gets into a fight with a Spanish fencer. She's like a sort of she's a fencer. I don't know. She's old. She's powerful. She's very good, and she gets the drop on Lana and damn near kills her. And Lana basically turns the tables on her by almost killing herself, and it's a really, really like. Yeah, she gets stabbed. She almost dies. But as a part of her ruse, as a part of her trick, she grabs the vampire and is going to drink her blood to survive. But she uses the opportunity as a sort of table turner, and that vampire, who is not the chief vampire hunter, runs away. The thing about vampire blood in the San Gennaro world is that it basically gives you a self-preservation instinct for the person that drinks it. Or for the other way around. If you drink someone's blood, you have a self-preservation instinct for them. And it will go away with time, but basically you would protect them the way that you would protect yourself. Because a part of your internals, a part of who you are, is sort of knitted with them. And so Lana drank a lot of this fucking fencer's blood. And so she's sort of infatuated. She wants to protect her. And I need there to be a situation where that comes into play.
Or you don't.
I want it to be a thing, but I don't necessarily want it to resolve.
Okay.
Because I want it to set up for a novella that I have a plan for.
Okay.
I may or may not add that. I think I have enough of a robust outline, though, that I have my story.
Yep.
Okay, so this is how I make my plot. I take my proof of concepts, and then I'm building around them. I know what I made happen in the proof of concepts, and I sort of pepper the story with that. But really, I know where I more or less know where I want to go. And I know where I want to start. And so I'm piecing that together and turning it into a roadmap. This is my roadmap. The ending, not too clear right now. We've got to feel it out. We've got to see how these characters work. How about a win that is later shown to be mitigated? Like Veronica kills the vampire, but later finds out there was a body switch that Veronica wasn't prepared for because Lana treated her like a tool because of a partner. Yes, I could do that, but I'm afraid to do that, and I've got to feel it out. Because I do want there to be a clear win, and I've got to consider the ramifications in the other book. One of the things that's important about, like, that's unique about this situation is that this is the 5th book in a series of books. So I've got to consider, like, where that goes. 6th. This is the 6th Sanjanaro novel.
Here's a weird one.
Yeah.
Just to prevent you from having character creep.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay.
Never mind.
Okay. So.
Whatever that was.
I have my roadmap. I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to make another document real quick. And now I need to take my my outline stuff, these scenes, and I've got to plug them in where they got to go. So I'm going to jump back and forth here. Okay, monologue, I know that's the first scene. Then Gothic... What? That didn't... Oh, I didn't scroll up all the way. That's stupid. Okay, go all the way up. First scene, monologue. Second thing here, Gothic Lit. I need to plug this in. Lana goes to Natalie's bar. Okay, Lana meets the Chosen One. This is actually this scene. Gothic Lit. Lana meets the Chosen One. Okay. Dumpster Dive. This happens before the Chosen One hunt. Deferment. Okay, Lana hunts with the Chosen One. It'll go there. Veronica hooks up with Vampire will happen afterwards. Is finding out the vampire is actually one of Veronica's relatives who she was protecting two off the wall. Which vampire? Oh, the one in the San Gennaro vampire? No, they're absolutely not relatives. There's a lot of reasons why it can't be that way. But, like, yeah. For one, Veronica is super white, and Elisa is not. Well, her body is, but that's complicated. But it's not her. It's not a relative. Okay, burning down the house. Lana hooks up with Vampire. And I'll have to figure out how the Lana hooks up with Vampire scene works, Veronica hooks up with Vampire scene works, because Lana has to be there for it because of the nature of my stories. Okay, and then these are all going to go together.
Oh, it might happen off screen and she just hears about it and gossip later.
That could happen. Okay, so this is going to be there. Lana gets hired to kill Kirak because of prophecy. And I'm literally just filling in the blanks. I'm putting in the stuff that needs to be here. Yeah, we're actually waiting right now on the URL stuff for it. Like our web host, we're waiting for it. We're going to do a full San Gennaro wiki.
Cannot wait, love
I'm really excited for it because it's going to help with game stuff too. Okay, so research monologue. Okay, so Lana's going to try to do the research montage there. Okay, so this fits in all of my pre-written scenes. This is a full road map. I know that one thing that I need to do is I want to use my teacher, who gets introduced in the Gothic Lits thing.
There you go.
What?
She was a vampire in disguise.
She can't be.
She can't be?
Well, I guess she could be.
She could be.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That could work. No, it can't be because she has to meet her after that.
No, she meets her in the second scene.
She meets her in the second scene, but then she goes to her class in the third scene.
She doesn't know it's her class.
Like a magic disguise or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or just one of those, she wore glasses and a tweed coat, and that's totally different than the, whatever, robes or shit. Whatever she does, I don't know. It's just a thought.
Yeah, it's a thought. It's a thought. But I want to do so I like the teacher that I've written,
Yep.
and I want to use her a little bit.
She did in fact kill her ex-boyfriend. Turns out.
Yeah, that's possible. That's a good callback.
Just one of those, like, are you kidding me? What? Nothing.
Vampire. Okay. Veronica kills a good vampire. Yeah, I definitely. Okay, Veronica kills a good vampire. No, I want it to be a casual interaction. No. Please, bring stuff up. So I want to do a couple things. For one, I want to have another mundane character, honestly. Like, she can interact with the supernatural, but I don't want her to be inherently a supernatural tied character. In fact, like, she might have killed a vampire. And that's, a thing that can happen. But I definitely, I want to lean towards another human character. I really like... There's a character in the Buffy series that dies because all, cool characters in Buffy die. The teacher.
Yep.
The woman teacher.
Yep, there's that Scooby Gang thing.
Yeah. I feel like maybe she's going to try to help. I feel like she's going to try to help the Veronica. She's going to basically try to do that. I don't think she's going to be killed by the ex-boyfriend. Or the vampire. The vampire boyfriend. I don't think she's going to be killed because of the fact that I think that what happened to Jenny in Buffy was awful. I think it was such a stupid choice. And it's such an iconic Whedon choice. I don't want that to happen in this story. But I think that that's why Lana kills the boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's about to kill her. So Lana goes hunting the vampire boyfriend. So I'm going to change Lana goes hunting the vampire boyfriend to Lana is on a hunt. Vampire boyfriend almost... Or no. She is hunting the vampire boyfriend because the vampire boyfriend kills a lot of people. Lana hired to kill vampire boyfriend. Doesn't know it's vampire boyfriend. Briefly doubts killing him. Briefly. Then he almost kills Professor Shockley. Lana murks his ass good. Okay. Lana hunts with the Chosen One. I'm going to say that Professor Shockley is there, offers help.
Mm-hmm.
Shockley organizes the hunt. Okay, Veronica kills a good vampire, though. Okay, that's good. Now, Shockley is involved in the story up until she is almost killed. She has to she has to be involved in the story after that. Otherwise, she is only being used as a vehicle for being killed. So, Veronica asks for Lana's help. Lana considers. Works with Veronica on a couple of simple jobs.
Okay. So somewhere in there you have, she tries to do her own research and it doesn't go well.
Okay.
Right? So maybe near the end you have the teacher swoop in with the bit of information necessary, the professor, because she can do that, and she's like, hey, look, you did me a solid. I can't get involved with this stuff because it will kill me, but here's what you need to know.
Okay. Okay, now we actually, yeah, no fridging, and no just letting them be a vehicle for those kind of feels. It can happen, but it needs to not be her, like,
Primary.
only drive in the story. Okay, so we have a full map here. We have a full outline.
Yeah.
And you can see exactly how this came to be. We basically built the rough path, and then we decided some of the things that needed to happen and where to plug them in. And so now we know like what order we're going to go in. And one thing that I need to do is I know that I have about 20,000 words written. I'm going to check here to see what's going on. How many things are not already there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I have about 18 scenes. Each one will be about 2K. So that's about 36,000 words. Actually, I say works with Veronica on a couple of simple jobs. So that's probably going to be 3 jobs. So 36, 38, 40. Okay, so basically up until about here, writing 40,000 more words. That'll mean that I'll have about 60,000 up until here. And then if I do all of this in about 5 to 10,000, then that will be good. I'll figure all of this out. And my book will be somewhere between 65,000 to 70,000 words.
Elena, we are nothing if not fancy.
Okay, so I know the size of my book. 65,000 to 70,000 words. That's great. I basically have the outline set up here.
Dovey, don't think of it as 50,000 words. Think of it as 30 days of 2,000 words each. That doesn't help.
Yeah. And sometimes with nano... Okay, so here's the trick. When I'm writing and I'm doing my proof of concept stuff, if I don't have an idea in mind, I won't write anything, or I'll write like 1,000 to 2,000 words a day. But if I have an idea, then basically I can just hammer it out. When I did this section here, goat sucker to job offer, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 scenes, I knew basically what I wanted to happen, and I wrote them all. I wrote them all at the same time. So basically this was about 10,000 words that I just wrote in one day. Because I had a path in mind. I knew where I wanted to go. And if you have this path in mind, then you'll be able to knock out way more. You won't have to think about it as much. You know where you need to go. You just get there. And so that's going to help you out with your nano goal. Because you don't have to worry about, what do I do next? You already know. You're already set up for that. It's okay. And as far as not knowing how long your scenes will be, that is actually just a matter of learning yourself. I don't know how long my scenes will be either. With iHunt books, my scenes tend to be between 1,500 and 2,500 words. Depends on what the scene is, but that's my average. With Blood Flow, they were on average between 2,000 and 4,000. And with Ultra, they were between 750 and 1,500. It's a much punchier story because it jumps between narrators very quickly. Okay, when do they go to Movie Land, since that's the biggest draw of the series? That's actually a good question. I think one of the... so I have this bit where works with Veronica on a couple of simple jobs. Jobs. This is... Okay, so this is an important thing. I want to do 3 jobs, I said. And this is going to be a nice break. Like, we've already had our Power Fantasy success thing. They're going to win these 3 jobs, but it's going to basically give... it's going to start setting real doubt in Lana's mind. So one of them is going to be a Movie Land job. One of them is going to be... I need to do more San Gennaro stuff, like specific building areas stuff. So I'm going to do an Ava Blue job. That's their Hollywood Hills. And then I'm going to do one that's in San Felipe, which is my favorite neighborhood so far. So I'm going to... That's just a placeholder. So I know that there's going to be 3 scenes, and they're all going to be hunts, and they're going to give... these scenes give Lana the seed of real doubt as to Veronica's fitness as a hunter. Like, Lana's already questioning it, but this is like, yeah. And then basically, Lana has to use, actually, this is going to go after. Elisa de El Lobo goes right after. Veronica asks for Lana's help. Lana considers because it's such a big deal. Lana makes deal.
Dun, dun, dun.
Help me with Elisa El Lobo first. Okay, and now it's, instead of just being a this happens, this happens, this happens, it's this happens because this happens. Lana needs to kill Elisa El Lobo. So basically, when Veronica's like, we should work together, Lana's like, all right, one condition. You have to do this job with me first. On my terms. And so they do it, all goes well. And then the 3 jobs after that, each one goes progressively a little bit worse. Okay. But yeah, now we know what's going to happen. And basically, this isn't much bigger than a Nano book, but like also I have already written 20,000 words, so if I did it for Nano, then like, it doesn't matter because it'd be done. I would be able to do 50,000 in October, and it wouldn't be a problem. I'm going to try to finish it before October, though, or November. So we'll see if that happens, and if so, I'll come up with another plan for what to do for Nano.
Something wrong with you.
There's something wrong with me. Okay.
Write 20 books right now.
Me.
That's right.
Yeah.
You heard me.
So, okay, so this process, this is how I make books. Like, this is how I do my outlining. This is how I get ready. I've already got outline and notes. These are already integrated, so I'm just going to move these to my trash. And now I have my full outline here. And I'll feel out how the ending works. Like, it just depends on how I like the characters and how I feel that they should behave at the end. I think that any way I go is going to be fun because the characters, the way that they're interacting is really what it's about. And do you have any questions about this process? Like, is there anything that you are wondering, like, oh, I did this all very specifically to this thing that I did. It was all an example, but if you have any curiosities or whatever, how to apply this, then by all means, drop them real quick. I'm going to take a drink of my Monster.
I felt like I should have made like suffering growling noises when you said that, but I just didn't have it in me.
I would love to do that, Elena. Where you share outlines and I talk about how to like work that out. Yeah, and I think that could be really fun because, like there might be stuff that you don't catch. So Gritty is very much a Philly thing.
Yeah.
Like Gritty is so Philly. If I was doing the equivalent of Philly in the San Gennaro world. Because I haven't used any real cities. I almost did in Ultra. I almost used Provo, Utah briefly, but I ended up making it a non-specific city. But if I do a Philly equivalent for iHunt, then yeah. Then I will do that. I think that I don't know. Like Lana would appreciate Gritty, but I think that Lana would definitely not work with him. Oh, cool. Yeah, I remember your last book. I remember giving you advice on that. And I hope that it turned out much better for it. Basically, Elena gave me the first chapter of her book, and I gave her advice on what I think that she should, shore up
tighten and emphasize. She had some really cool elements in there, but some of them were kind of hidden, like they were kind of pushed back, and like she wasn't starting with that lead, so she was hiding the lead. And yeah, I think that the second version of that chapter that I read was really cool. It was much better, and yeah, I would absolutely love to do that.
I know the next thing I'm thinking of doing is somebody was asking about character.
Oh yeah.
And how to build characters from the ground up, and how to like keep them from being samey or whatever. So I will definitely be doing something with character very soon. A very quick generation speed thing for characters, just like I did with outlines today.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Yeah. And if you guys like, y'all are in the Discord, and if you're not, I'm gonna someone drop the Discord link. Oh wait, no, it's not. It doesn't work.
Oh, never mind.
It doesn't work. I gotta fix that actually. Give me just a second. Edit invite link. Okay, copied. There is the Discord link. If you're not on there and you're listening anyway, come on in. We have plenty of room to talk about this. If you have any ideas, any things that you want advice on how to build your novel or your, game fiction or your script or whatever, please jump in, say hi, ask us about that. Because we want to do a lot of these before Nano starts and during Nano to help people through the process. I have some ideas for things that I want to do, and we can definitely do this reverse thing. If you have an outline prepared, let me know in the Discord, and we'll talk about it, and we can do a workshopping. I know that one thing that I'm going to be doing, and I fucking keep putting it off. I have a novella that I've written that I offer for free. It's the iHunt Frankenstein's Monster. But I have that novella, and I've been wanting to do a book about workshopping your book and fixing it and making it better. And I was going to basically post that in the beginning of the book, and then I was going to do essay style, breaking down like different parts of the book and then working it out, and then showing what the final product would look like if I had done all of these things. The tentative title of that book is Workshop the Fuck Out of Your Book and then add more fucks in the back end.
A little cumbersome.
Yeah, it's a little cumbersome, but all of my titles are a little bit cumbersome. But anyway, I want to start working on that, so I might do that for Nano. I don't know. We'll see.
That's a thought.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, there you go. That's the stream. We'll do this again. This seems like a good time because we had a lot of viewers for both streams.
Yeah, seems like.
So I think this is a good time to get moving on things.
Not
Sunday.
a great time for like I'm fucking sleepy, but that's okay.
Yeah, we come full circle to anal.
Yay! Back to anal.
All right, love everyone.
Love you.
Bye bye. We'll be in Discord.